Hello, my name is Van Adams, and I am a candidate in the ED/LD program at Lamar University. This is an addendum to my original video. There are some more things that I wanted to discuss that I did not get to add on to the original video, so this is my attempt to do that here. Um, First, I want to start off by saying that the teacher that I observed, I thought she did a really, really good job. She had command of the classroom. She respected their cultural identities, and I felt like she was equitable in distributing her time among different genders, among different races, and among different cultures. I thought her modeling was very, very good. She did some modeling of a science lesson, and the kids had to sort of follow her along and add their own knowledge to that. And this has all been discussed. I'm just recapping before I get into what I really want to get into. Um, so, one thing I wanted to get into was the fact that I really thought about, well, she did great. So, if I put myself in it, if I were actually her administrator, when I walked out of that classroom that day, what could I say to her or to help her? And through my reflection, I have found that even really, really good teachers are still going to want feedback because those good teachers want to be even better teachers. So I sat down and I made some notes about some things that I would like to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. First of all, one of the first things I would do when I debrief with her is to really ask her how she think the observation went. I think a lot of times if you give teachers the opportunities, a lot of those teachers may critique themselves harder than you would. And I think if you're a really good teacher, I've been in the position, I think you would say, well, I wish I could have done this differently, or I wish I could have done that differently. And I think there's two ways to approach this. One way is that that teacher could present both the questions and the solutions to those questions to you, and you could either say, yes, I think that's a good idea, or you should think about this. Or perhaps the other side of that coin is that they would simply say, well, I wish I could have done this better. And as a leader, an administrative leader, and someone who's really growing teachers, you would have to be in a position where you could either give a couple of suggestions, or at the very least, you could offer resources that might give them some ideas on how to improve. If they didn't think they did some things well, or things they needed to improve, there are certainly some things I would see. I did notice, and I think I mentioned this in my original video, that there were a couple of kids who were praised for solving their own problems, but I just felt like they might have been taking a little bit too much time in leisurely solving that problem. And it was something as simple as getting a crayon to finish their art project with that they were combining with science. So I would simply ask, are there students who didn't make the best use of their time, and how can we structure that differently so that, yes, we're praising them for solving their own problems, but at the same time, we're not allowing them to think it's okay to take an absorbent amount of time, solving something that could have been solved very quickly. The other thing that I noticed is that when the lesson was starting to wrap up, she mentioned that they were going to go to recess. And when that was mentioned, I could tell the focus of kids was somewhat diminished from that. So I guess my question would be, I'm sure they know they're going to recess. My question would be, how much time are we devoting to this project, this particular lesson, this particular product? And how do we ensure that it is the right amount of time? And I think this goes back to the other kids who were not using their time effectively. Maybe some finished too fast. Is there something that we can have those kids do so that they're not sitting there, waiting for the other kids to finish? And the kids that didn't finish on time, is it that they really needed extra time? And there may be those students in your classroom, but it may just be we could have gotten them to work a little bit faster. The next thing I would ask is, is there anything that you need from me? And I think that goes back to my original comment of sometimes you just have to say, is there a resource that might help you? Is there a person that I can put you in contact with? Is there anything that I can do to help you, hone this craft? You're a great teacher right now, but I really see you being a leader. And I would like to know if there's anything that I can do to help interest you in that or to move you along that path. There's a couple more things that I would make sure that I would do before I, do this. Is that number one, I would visit as often as possible. I think that's really important to get a clear picture at different times, different points in a lesson of are they really getting to that thing. I would certainly give them praise for doing a great job. Um, and then I think there's sometimes things you don't see that go on in a lesson. I would ask if that documentation is there. What happened here or what happened after I left or what happened before I left. Can you update me on that? I really think it's fair during the observation process that we give that opportunity. So that was all I had. Thank you very much.